Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with a review of a new disc of Berg orchestral music. This is quite an interesting disc repertoire-wise. You get his piano sonata orchestrated by the conductor, Andrew Davis, and you get his Passacaglia fragment, which dates from around, 1913, also realized by Andrew Davis. It was partially completed, both as to duration and orchestration and short score, and Davis has amplified it up into a full orchestral extravaganza. And then you've got the three pieces for orchestra, a early masterpiece, and the Violin Concerto, Berg's last major completed work, with the extremely fine violinist James Ehnes playing the violin, and it's on Chandos, and the orchestra is the BBC Symphony. Now, do I like the disc? Do we all like the disc? Are you going to like the disc? I'm not so sure. Here's the problem. The piano sonata has been realized as an orchestral work by several people. Andrew Davis's version is it's not worse than any of the others. I just find it to be rather thick and kind of cloggy and not terribly interesting sonically. I mean, he does use a lot of like harp and celesta and things like that to try and, perk up the scoring, but somehow it all strikes me as rather gray and monochrome. And that's me. You may disagree. He made a deliberate decision to omit a lot of, potential like color in terms of percussion and other things that Berg doubtless would have used. But I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is just a basic heaviness of sonority that doesn't sit too well with me, and that's just a personal reaction to it. The performance is quite beautiful. I think the performance is wonderfully played, and it's richly recorded, and so, that's it. The Passacaglia sounds terrific. It sounds very Bergian, I think. It's a pity it's only 4 minutes long, but it's nifty to hear, for sure. The three pieces for orchestra, well, there, again, I have another issue with Davis's approach. It's just too soft-edged. I mean, the finale, that march, it's one of the most harrowing pieces of music out there. It just doesn't scream in the high pitches the way it's supposed to. The low brass, I mean, it just lacks bite. Everywhere it lacks bite. There are moments when you at the end of the march, when it's like, bwah, 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 bwah. It just sounds like the rite of spring. I mean, it has that expressionist horror, horror music kind of ambience. And I'm not frightened, not listening to this. I mean, forget the fact that the hammer blows are inaudible. I mean, they usually are. I mean, that's the hammer problem is, an ongoing issue in music of the Second Viennese School, starting with the original hammer guy, Mahler in his Sixth Symphony, although the Icelandic composer Jan Leifs uses a hammer in his organ concerto, and Bisque really has a hammer. If I had a hammer, I'd a hammer in the morning, I'd a hammer in the evening, all over this land. You can do the hammer. It's possible, and you can record the hammer. They don't hear, but so much for that. It's not the hammer that matters. The whole thing just sounds fuzzy. And in the Violin Concerto, the Violin Concerto is a different case. It's very, very interesting. James Ehnes is an absolutely fantastic violinist, and he plays it beautifully. And Davis accompanies him very well. I think the first movement is absolutely gorgeous. It's flowing, and the sort of Viennese elements are very well brought out. The second movement is really slow. I mean, it's over 16 minutes long. That's really slow for this piece. And again, we have the same situation. Davis is accompanying very well, Ehnes is playing very well, but when the orchestra takes over, for example, with those big climaxes, with a dum bum bum pow, yeah, yum ba dum bum pow, the tam tam, and nothing. There's just nothing. It has no climaxes. There's nothing gut-wrenching. So when the Bach chorale comes in, Es ist genug right afterwards, you just don't feel that sense of release, that I think Berg intended. It's a low-temperature performance from Davis and the orchestra, not from Ehnes. And so this is one of those, well, if you are English, you would call it a curate's egg. It has good bits and bad bits. And the overall result is just so-so. But the elements are there. I mean, there's no question that they're all committed and that Ehnes is really doing his thing. And there are splendid moments, but somehow it just doesn't add up to the kind of emotionally intense and terrifying experience that Berg intended in this music. And so I have to give this one a pass. And that's reluctantly on my part, really, because I respect what the players are doing, but I just don't think they do it enough. At least Davis and the orchestra don't. So there you go. Keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.